Welcome back to The Watch, and we're live. This is one...
We are?
Well, we should be. Let us know, because it is, once again, we're back with the Weekly Watch, our weekly live stream that we try and do this time every week, depending where you are in the world. If you're in the US, it's Thursday?
Thursday night.
It's Friday morning for us.
And also depending on when you are in the world, because if you're in the future, not live, sucked in, you can catch us.
How's the audio, chat? We rely on you to let us know if anything goes wrong, because sometimes it does. Let us know if there's static or anything, but if the audio's going good, that's awesome. How are you? We can see you there in the chat. Good to see everyone. Thanks for joining us.
They're so small down there.
Yep, people giving us good audio. Thumbs up. Okay, so we got a couple of things that we want to go through in this weekly watch. One, there's been some, I guess, conversation, more stuff that people have been, the creators behind House of Dragons, the new Game of Thrones prequel series, have been saying. And so we want to unpack some of their comments a bit, because we did a live stream looking at the first trailer drop, and it's going to be a bit of a bait and switch, I think, because the trailer didn't make it look terrible, yet then we found and shared some of the comments and intents behind the show, which are massive red flags, and there's a couple of those that have just been dropped as well. So that's going to be fun.
I think, look, this might be a hot take, but I think this new... I've been looking at it more recently, closely, this, what's it called again, House of Dragons, and I think it looks terrible.
All right, what makes it look terrible to you? Oz?
Just the casting alone. The dudes who are playing Targaryens, and I'm not talking about the Blackfires, I mean the literal Targaryens, they don't look like Targaryens. They look like... Meh.
Well, let's quickly bring them up. We're going to do a bit so...
I didn't watch Game of Thrones, so I have no context.
I watched Game of Thrones. It should have ended at season 4. You see, there's like, Game of Thrones is like a highway. There are exits, right? You can exit at season 4, which is arguably when it was at its best, or you can exit at the end of season 6, where it ends on a cliffhanger that's okay. But season 5 is lacking quality.
Season 6 the last season?
No, season 8 is.
Oh.
Everything after season 4 just dropped off in quality very quickly.
Okay. So
Oh no, Google Lens, get out of Google Lens. Sorry, I'm trying to find an image. So I found an image of some of the Targaryens.
I mean those guys.
Should I bring it up?
These guys.
These guys?
Them.
So you can bring it up. To me, I think Matt Smith looks full Targaryen.
What are they
but
supposed
the
to
others,
look like?
Not when... Okay, can you Google Viserion Targaryen?
Viserion
Go.
Targaryen?
Oh, sorry, Viserys Targaryen.
Viserys Targaryen.
This guy's a great actor, by the way. This guy's an incredible actor. That's a Targaryen, right?
Yeah. I get those vibes from Matt Smith. The longer kind of British-looking face.
You're saying Matt Smith isn't handsome enough for you?
No, okay, there's handsome, and then there's this sort of face that resembles a Targaryen. They're meant to be big cheekbones, skinny cheeks.
He has cheekbones.
Sharp jawline that points. I guess he does have that, but he doesn't have, like, the clear forehead. Like, she's kind of got a bit with a big brow, but I just don't see it with him. I don't see it.
I don't know, I do.
He doesn't have the piercing eyes of, like, a dragon. She kind of does. She's the most Targaryen.
He looks like a puppy dog.
What about some of the other casting? Because you're saying, are there other things that gives you vibes that it's going to be bad?
I haven't seen the other casting. What's the other casting? I don't like the race changing of the Blackfires.
Yeah,
and especially that they've race changed them just because they're called Blackfires.
I was about to say, is that a name you've given them, or is that their actual last name?
They're called House Blackfire.
I was starting to say, why do you keep calling them? That's not very nice of you.
Bit of the nose, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. It's like, quickly, we need to change one of the characters to black. Oh, there's Blackfires there.
I don't know anything about it, so I was starting to think, have you changed the name?
They're a offshoot family from the Targaryens made from a bastard.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
that's a bit weird to change. To race change that.
Oh, they've got the white hair though. Other resemblances.
So there was chat. Let us know if you know more of the background lore of this. So there was the main Targaryen line, and then one of the Targaryens fell in love with someone. And they must have had darker skin because the offshoot family from this bastard relationship, you're saying, is where they come from. Is this correct, chat?
As far as I'm aware, there are actually a couple of bastard families based on the Targaryens. But I would like to see if some northern casting and southern casting, if they have it, just to see if they feel like they fit.
So that one, yeah, Yeah, it shows that they're trying to purposely inject modern, to appease the woke crowd, essentially.
Yep.
They're changing things to appease the woke crowd. That is, back in the day, it wouldn't matter, but because the politics are so full on at the moment, and then they put what they're their woke things that they're injecting onto the forefront to say this is what's going to make the show good, and these are where the big red flags are. So instead of trying to promote the show about, oh, it's going to be great to see the origin of the Targaryen house and the conflicts, and it's going to be such a great story.
Well, we're not.
Instead, they're going to say, this is how they're promoting it. The people, it's going to be a complex discussion about misogyny.
We're not seeing the beginning of House Targaryen. We're actually seeing the beginning. We're seeing their downfall. Actually.
Their downfall.
Half of their downfall.
Yeah.
It's the Dance of Dragons.
So that would have been a great thing in and of itself, or possibly, but once again, their marketing, that they think the most selling or attractive feature of the show is the woke propaganda, basically.
And this is a prequel?
This is a prequel.
So Daenerys is
not born
a
yet.
descendant
This takes place
of these people?
Yeah, I think it takes place like 120 years before Game of Thrones, I think.
Oh, okay.
Something like that, 150 maybe.
Yeah, so let's go into this article that I have, and so we'll take it down and let me navigate to it. And while we do that, what's chat saying there, Nathan?
Further back, I saw someone was saying how Matt Smith wasn't comfortable with the nudity in this show. Which
Based.
part of me is like,
Good on
respect to him, but also I wouldn't work on anything Game of Thrones and be upset about nudity because
It's like going into Macca's
first
and being,
season, come on.
Yeah. It's like going to Macca's and being upset about the meat.
Yeah, or being like, oh, this isn't gourmet.
But they have veggie burgers.
Beyond meat.
He can keep his clothes on.
Yeah, like, is he having to do the nudity, or is it just because everyone else is getting naked?
I'm not sure.
Well, didn't Daenerys, Emilia Clarke decide at some point, I'm going to stop getting naked?
Well,
she got
did,
a
but
bit
then she
fed
got
up
naked
with it.
again. She did get naked at one other time.
I'm not an expert on this.
There was interviews about it. I remember the
Yeah.
interviews. And I saw the scene. Look, I watched all of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen nudity.
Well, like we have already shared our views on the excessive, gratuitous nudity in Game of Thrones, and I think it's insulting to the source material that they had such little faith in the quality of the writing that there's like what the dialogues that are being saying. They just felt it wasn't interesting enough when a lot of it actually was intriguing, dialogue.
Well,
it's like, no, we just got to throw boobs on the scene as well.
Is there a lot of that in the
Yes,
books?
I was about to say they actually toned it down compared to a lot of the scenes in the books.
Are you sure?
There's more nudity in the books.
No, because
sorry, there's more nudity in the show.
All right,
but it's less graphic.
I've heard the opposite, that the nudity in the books were not as full on, and it was less in the books.
Oh, the things
To
that
be
happen in
fair,
books, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in books that you just don't translate onto the screen.
Okay, like there's a whole plot line about how in the later books about how what's her name Queen Daenerys has really bad dysentery.
So?
It's very graphic.
Yeah, but that's not like sexual nudity.
I know, but it's disgusting. Okay, well there's a very graphic part where Sansa gets raped. It's not actually Sansa, it's fake Sansa.
Okay, so this is where the next kind of aspect to this discussion. In terms of adaptation, how graphic or sexualized should you make it? Because my point of reference, The Wheel of Time actually has quite a bit of nudity in certain parts, okay? At no point through the entire series of Wheel of Time, the book series I'm talking about, at no point did I ever get this impression that any of this nudity was sexualized, pornographic. It was just very practical for the purposes, or
it's not pornographic
for the scenes that were done, and it was never tried to actually be titillating or anything. It was just nudity was there because stuff happens, and it was done very modestly.
Yeah,
and so
Robert Jordan's an incredible writer. He never did anything excessive or pornographic, but there's parts where who's the evil magic lady?
Which one?
Well, we don't want to spoil it, but you know who I'm talking about. Evil magic lady. Very evil, powerful magic lady who's not that evil but very powerful.
There's a couple.
On par with Rand. Well, not on par with Rand.
Okay, her. Yeah.
She gets naked a lot.
Not heaps.
In his dreams, yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Just
that's
the fourth book.
That's the only times, really, because she's purposely trying to manipulate him and stuff.
I know, that's what it works.
And the thing is, though, you could actually still have those scenes and not show actual nudity.
Yeah,
it's been done heaps of times before, and so this is the choice about adaptation. How far do they want to push it?
There have been like books that have been adapted into film, where authors have been like, I don't want that to go into film, let's change it.
Well, I was very clear about people who showed, so Nudity Productions, when they were wanting to try and do the short film and everything, and then we're discussing what would it be like if I was to sell the full film rights for my novel, I made it very clear that I don't want any explicit nudity, even though there's nudity in my book. It's not pornography or anything like that, and so the way you do it is do what they've done in Hollywood all the time, just like, you know, neck up kind of things, or just show the top of the back, stuff like that, because it wasn't necessary to get the purpose of the scene or the purpose of the nudity in the book into the film. You don't need to show it to actually have that purpose in it. In actual fact, it'll work better by not showing it, especially by some of the characters' reactions to it, where you see their face and everything, and that's actually important to the story of my novel. And then now we come back to Game of Thrones. It feels like with the adaptation Game of Thrones, they've taken whatever references were in the books, then dialed it up to 15, 20, past 10, you know, if it's a scale from 1 to 10, you know, dial up to 11. I'm going further.
Well,
but then that makes it seem like it's a scale of 1 to 100 anyway.
It just wasn't as graphic, but there was a lot more of it.
Well, it seemed, but then the classic sexposition thing where there's just scenes where it wasn't called for and they threw it all in.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And so
it was good
and
exposition.
Now that's what
it was,
fantasy
but yeah,
is.
it didn't need it. The exposition was good enough, and that's what anyway, we got off on that whole tangent. Okay, it'll be like they're probably going to do the same thing with this because it became a feature now, almost to the point where they thought this is what makes Game of Thrones good. And you know, did you see some of those Game of Thrones clones that came out shortly after it?
No.
One that comes to mind is, I think it's called Camelot. It was like a King Arthur story where they tried to Game of Thrones the entire thing. Yeah. No one's heard of it because it bombed, and they tried to clone it, and basically it was just this stupid crap. Like, even though they put more money into it, like it had a budget to it, but they just threw nudity everywhere in it. And it failed because that's not what made Game of Thrones good. What made Game of Thrones good were complex characters, really intriguing conflict and story and stuff. And so if you just try and sell something on nudity, well, guess what? There are other sites that people can get that much easier. You know?
And Rafe Judkins, he tried to Game of Thrones Wheel of Time.
A little bit. He didn't go as far, but
in terms of tone.
Yeah, in terms of tone.
Everyone was morally grey. You know, there was...
That lessened it so much.
Yes, absolutely it did. And also... But also with the nudity he tried to put in, and then but then
the nudity he put in was like middle-aged women. It's like, who are you doing that for? I just don't get it.
I can't believe that a gay guy didn't, you know how to find the model women and put them in. You know what I mean? Naked.
Shocking. So, interesting, right? And I find it again. An interesting thing that, so Matt Smith has actually been kind of cautious, he's like, I'm not too comfortable with the nudity in this one. We'll see how far it goes.
Which is okay.
I have a feeling that they're just going to try and grab all the worst aspects of Game of Thrones, misunderstand what made Game of Thrones good, and that's what this prequel is going to be.
Well, to be fair, the original creators, not J.R. Tolkien, but the guys who ran it, Dan and David... D&D, the douchebags, they didn't understand what made Game of Thrones great because they thought that they could just... Oh man, it was so bad. The later seasons...
You know what's interesting? It even seems like George Martin doesn't fully understand what made Game of Thrones great because he is not understanding why there's been such a backlash to how Game of Thrones ended, to the backlash against Rings of Power.
I don't blame.
Didn't they get rid of him?
They did at season 4. That's my point. So he wrote all the scripts because he was a script writer as well as a novel writer. He wrote all the scripts up till season 4, and at season 4, Dan and Dave said, "Oh, we're going to have to cut this plot line, this plot line, this plot line, all incredibly important characters." And he's like, "Okay, I'm out."
Well, they said they have his input in this prequel series, but he's the one who's been making changes to Game of Thrones to make it more woke. Like he greenlit the House Blackfire change.
Oh yeah, he wanted several.
He's going J.K. Rowling.
Seems like it.
He wanted millions and millions of dollars. I don't think he has any input in it anymore.
Maybe.
Look at what happened with Tolkien. They keep saying, yeah, this is Tolkien's works. You know, this is Dingo's works. I don't believe it for a second. He's a great writer. He is.
So what's happening with the chat here, Nathan? We'll give us an
Yeah,
update.
someone just talking, the discussion with George R. R. Martin and stuff, and how much control does he really have now? What is his input to it?
Yeah.
Maybe he should just work on writing the last book.
Yeah, before...
That's what people really want.
Like,
Just do your job.
if you want to make enough money just to like retire and be happy and do whatever you want, just finish that work. I think just tie that in a bow. But yeah, mostly just discussion about the nudity and is it a distraction from the poor writing and acting and story, or
No.
Sometimes they use
does
it.
it actually have a place?
It's not.
Well, look, actually, there are some moments where nudity, if done respectfully, actually, I think is not pornographic, and it's obviously they're only made for grown-ups and everything, shouldn't be made for kids, but actually has an important impact in a show. For instance, Cersei's Walk of Shame, all right? That's probably one of the few times where I said, all right, maybe that nudity is...
That was brutal.
because it was very shocking and it impacted, and maybe that was a necessary or a more appropriate use of nudity in a show. And remember, I'm a conservative Mormon, all right? But I'm not so far to be overly prudish and say it's all wrong. I think there's a mature approach you can have to this stuff. And I'm against pornography, but I actually don't think all nudity is inherently pornographic.
That Walk of Shame, man. They did. I don't think they had to show nudity for that. They could have done over-the-shoulder facial reactions. And I think it would have been...
To convey the full shame of that scene and impact, I think you could... There are ways to do it where it's not pornographic and it can be done maturely and
the thing is, though, the nudity actually took away from that scene because they had to put her face on a body actress.
Oh, really?
And it looked so fake.
Oh, did
and
it?
it was
Really?
really
She didn't
distracting.
want to be nude.
She didn't want to be nude in front
good
of
on
hundreds
her.
of people, yeah.
I mean,
Fair enough. So that's why I think if they'd just done from the shoulder up, focused on her emotions and everyone else's emotions instead of showing it, I think it could have been better. Because it was brutal.
It was brutal, and it was a pretty shocking scene and everything.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder if that was one of the moments that broke her to the point where she was ready to go scorched earth. But she was already pretty far gone.
But she was, after the death of her daughter, she was so close to humility. She was almost there. And then she got set free. That was the worst mistake.
So, going to House of Dragons, right? One of the forefront things actresses, showrunners have been saying about this is that it's going to be a in-depth kind of exploration on misogyny. And it's like, I have thoughts. So, let me give you the full quote. I can scroll down to it. Okay. Oh, well, yeah. So, House of Dragons really creates a nuanced conversation of misogyny. She touted to Kozler? I don't know. We don't only explore it through the level of women being shut down and the patriarchy. So not only this, so they are going to be exploring it, women being shut down and the patriarchy, but also go in depth about the internalized misogyny that women are constantly faced with.
Internalized misogyny.
And the competitiveness. Alicent and Rhaenyra's relationship is at the forefront of that conversation.
Okay. Game of Thrones already kind of touched on that, and it actually showed the women BTFOing the men because of their position.
Like, this is what's baffling to me. Is like, hang on. If we look at Game of Thrones, there were some really strong women who men looked to and showed obedience to. Look at Lady Stark, right? She was a strong woman that took control. And this is the thing. This is actually reflected in history. When the men went off in war, oftentimes the leadership of the household fell to the woman. She had the keys of the castle, and she was the lord, essentially, of the castle, the lady. And she was the leader.
Yeah.
All right? And they kind of reflected that in Game of Thrones.
Brienne of Tarth, Marjorie Tyrell, never fights, but she's a great character, and she's manipulative and smart.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, look at
But
Cersei.
also decent. Yeah.
Cersei?
Cersei.
Cersei or Cersei?
It's Cersei.
Cersei. All right, so yes, she was overlooked for inheriting the throne, as many traditional historical things is, but then she ends up becoming queen anyway.
Well, no, she married Robert Baratheon, the usurper, who was king. She didn't inherit the throne, her son did. She became queen regent. After
That's right. I'm getting confused. But she ends up becoming queen. I haven't
She
finished
does
the full-
after she... Spoiler alert, it's been years. After she blows up everyone.
So, but she became because depending on which tradition and also laws of inheritance, stuff like that, if the king husband dies, the queen sometimes can just assume the full leadership of the kingdom, but in Game of Thrones, they were doing it. It would always pass on to someone else.
Firstborn male heir.
Yeah, and she wouldn't inherit. So there's that. But the thing is, though, in that position, she had insane amounts of power.
She was literally controlling
Remember that line where Littlefinger is like, knowledge is power, and then she's like, kill him.
No, it was awesome. She doesn't say kill him. Well, she says
she's kill, and then she says,
slit his throat. Wait,
then,
I changed my mind. Turn around, take 3 paces back, close your eyes, and then she comes up with like, power is power.
Gee, who has power as a woman in Game of Thrones?
She was bad. She was actually, apart from being awful, she was badass.
This is the thing, right? They might have been able to market Game of Thrones, and I think this would almost be close to like Death of the Author comments, where it's actually not properly reflected in the context of the show, that it's a discussion about misogyny, the misogyny that these women face and everything like that. And they could have tried to market Game of Thrones without changing anything. It wouldn't have been properly reflected, but they could have, because you could say that there are aspects in it. But here is this in reverse. You can also say that there is gross misandry in Game of Thrones as well.
Absolutely.
And signs of female privilege manipulating men and getting men killed and showing toxic femininity to an extreme degree. And you could almost make an argument for that.
Cersei and, what's her name? Lady Tyrell, Marjorie, both do that.
Toxic femininity.
So different sides of the coin.
Yeah.
Marjorie does it for good, Cersei does it for bad.
And so, okay, there's that. There's the perspective that you want to show on the thing, and it shows where your mindset is what you're focusing on. But the thing is, though, they didn't push any of it. It was just, here's a show. It's really got great writing in it, really complex characters. It's very dark and gritty, all that saying. And the show became a success because of its compelling writing.
Well, yeah, the writing was nuanced and balanced, right? And a lot of people have gotten over the whole morally grey stuff, but it showed men being brutalised in horrible ways. It showed women being brutalised in horrible ways.
It was pretty fair and even in showing that. And now, with this prequel, they're saying that it almost, instead of, choosing to highlight something that could have been a more balanced thing, this actually gives me vibes that, no, we're actively making it to unbalance it, to push our own ideologies, our own world views and stuff like that. And they've they've just said it flat outright. It creates a nuanced conversation about misogyny, exploring through the level where women being shut down. And I'm like, and again, I think, gee, was Lady Stark ever shut down? And so it's not often. And it seems like with they're changing certain Game of Thrones world, how the world treated women, to now make it more sexist than it actually might have been in Game of Thrones for this prequel.
Well, this is a prequel, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but only by 120 years in a very long time span.
Because I'm not saying women weren't shut down in Game of Thrones, but guess what? So were a lot of guys as well who didn't have authority, position, or weight behind what they were saying.
Well, in Game of Thrones, they tried to show a dynamic where women, knew that they were not as powerful as men, right? And this is why it's so nuanced, because there's entire conversations, monologues and dialogues between two women characters where they're like, we can't kill them, but we can certainly do a lot more, dangerous. Like they spoke about how dangerous they actually were. Meanwhile, when men come around, like, oh, I know I'm just a queen, and I shouldn't be talking about these sorts of things because it's a manly thing. But and as she says that, she's perfectly manipulating one of the most dangerous men in the world. Do you see what I mean? That's nuance. It recognizes the differences, but then still allows them to show them as powerful characters.
Well, we get none of those vibes from what they're saying here. To me, it's like it's going to be so blatant, in your face, just cartoonish misogyny that these women are going to be faced with in the world. It says that they're going to be shut down by the patriarchy, and there's going to be a strong patriarchal kind of thing. And there's also this, if you want to look at from the medieval perspective, okay, there is actually a difference between having a patriarchal society versus what feminism tries to push as the patriarchy. So a patriarchal society is a stereotypical society where outwards flowing power is mostly controlled by men. All right? But the thing about that society is that a lot of the inwards flowing power is controlled by women, like controlling, managing the household, everything, balancing budgets and all that stuff. And and the power that women wield in terms of being the gatekeepers for sexual relations and everything like that. The societal protection that is given to women because they are the fairer sex and stuff like that. The laws against it, and there are a lot of interesting things. Now, I'm not saying it isn't perfect, but there's a lot of nuance from a historical perspective, which gave women power and rights under the law. I have a recent video on Shadiversity that talks about medieval sex, all right? And in that discussion, I'm talking with a lovely lady who's done heaps of research. Her name is Rosalie Gilbert. She has a book on it. And she gave this example that I never had heard of, that there was actually a legal expectation for a man to satisfy his wife.
Yeah.
And if he didn't, she could take him to court legally and have him charged.
Tell you what, Game of Thrones creators, that's a series right there.
I mean, like, if they wanted inspiration for, like, that's like the perfect Game of Thrones thing that they could have put into this show.
Judge Nudity.
But the thing is, though, that gives women power, and they don't want to have that narrative in this show. And so there are times where women didn't have power, they were forced into marriage and everything. I totally acknowledge that historically, but there are also a lot of times where women did have power, and if you wanted a nuanced thing, you would draw from all of those things from history. But it seems like, no, they're only going to not only draw the worst, like, stereotypes and misconceptions about women's roles in history, but then they're going to inject modern views of what patriarchy is, internalized misogyny, into something that should be more historically inspired than modern. And they actually talk about so that this is going to reflect modern interpretations of it. So they're going to go in depth about the internalized misogyny that women are constantly faced with. Which women? Women in the world. That just women generally. This is a statement that women generally are constantly faced with internalized misogyny. That is such a bullcrap thing. Like, as soon as a woman says, no, I'm not oppressed, I love being a mother, that's their response. Oh, you're just internalized your misogyny. And basically talk about taking away women's free will, agency, and their ability to choose. The women who are happy with traditional lives and everything like that, main crazy extreme feminist takes away their agency by then imposing their intentions on them. It's like, oh, you're just internalized misogyny. It's utter crap.
Yeah, it's the hypocrisy again. But, like, original Game of Thrones series, right, had some incredible scenes. Like, women actually kind of steal the show in that. I'm not going to lie. They really do. Like, Diane Rigg, who played the leader of the Tyrell house, the old lady, she was a Bond girl back in the 60s. She destroys Tyrion Lannister in a meeting. Like, Tyrion Lannister, with his tongue, silver tongue, he's known for that, destroys everyone else in the series. Everyone. Slaps a king in the face. Everything like that. But then this old lady's like, I thought that you were a drunken lecher. I was told by everyone, but now I find just a browbeaten bookkeep. You can imagine my disappointment. That was gold. Oh man! And now they say, oh no, it's about we haven't done enough equality.
Chat wants to know what Claudia thinks.
Yeah, Claudia.
Well, I haven't seen Game of Thrones, so I have no context.
In
But
terms of the discussion near the topic,
I could show you some scenes that I'm talking about with women and men talking. No nudity, obviously. Don't want another HR case again, bloody hell.
I mean, there's merits to both sides. You know, there's misogyny exists, misandry exists. I'd want to see the show before commenting on it.
But the creators are saying that they're going to put this in there.
Seems like they're going to be only showing one side.
But it might be like that. There's going to be other things, but they're using that to market it.
Which is,
Maybe.
one, going to give massive red flags, attract a crowd that honestly don't get it.
That's what a lot of shows are doing these days. They're picking one little aspect of the show and honing in on that to market it.
I don't think that they do we're going to put this in it when they say that out in the media. I don't think they do it to tell us, to get us excited about it. I think they do it for the money people. I think they do it to start controversy. Yeah.
brings in clicks as well.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know, maybe because not all controversy is good controversy. Rings of Power is getting roasted to death because
that's why
how they're doing their marketing.
That's why there's the other side. It's not for the audience, it's for the money people who do the investing.
See, I don't know.
There's a money system built around
If Rings of Power doesn't make a profit, they have lost so much money in it.
Tax write-off, investment bank, problem solved.
It's too much. It's too much to make that a tax write-off. Like insane amounts of money.
Not for this money system.
No, that's too far.
If it's only $1 billion, that's nothing compared to how much $9 trillion, Shad.
We're talking about one of the largest scale productions ever.
Still nothing.
Nah, I don't think it's...
Drop in the bucket.
Yeah, I don't think it's enough. Anyway, so chat's saying, yes, Claudia, I agree with you. And there definitely is... Well, actually, I don't know. See, this is the red flags because they're really focusing on this. This gives me vibes that they're going to throw out the nuance that existed in the first Game of Thrones, and they really want to vilify men and make a really oppressive patriarchal system that they are going to be implying that this is reflective of the real world and this is, the type of struggles that women face and all that stuff. Women getting shut down. And so, oh gosh, if it turns out good, I'll be happy about it, okay? I'd love to be wrong on this, but the fact that this is the main talking point, I don't know, guys. I don't know.
It's not going to make the, it's not going to make us excited for it.
It's also a fictional world. They'll probably set it up so it is very misogynistic.
It certainly sounds like that. One of the other lines is, the patriarchy would rather destroy itself than see a woman on the throne. That's one of the taglines. It was in the trailer, it was like men, but this is actually a quote from one of the showrunners that the theme behind that is that it's about the patriarchy.
I think it's literally the inverse of that. I feel like these crazy feminists would literally rather destroy everything than see men get any level of institutional power that they had in the past.
Whether
good or bad, I think that's what they're...
It's not you really get vibes that it's not about a representation of equal men and women, that they want women fully in power and men not, because men just ruin everything and they're just,
To be fair, I'm sure that's just a very vocal minority.
But they become the leaders of the movement, though. That's the crazy.
Or more
because they're
importantly,
too vocal.
the silent majority are irrelevant in any sort of ideological or
and
hot
they're not
conflict.
feminists anymore.
They are.
They're just sexist.
Well, they're basically Marxists for different things: race and gender and politics and economies.
But I don't think it's fair to call that vocal minority who do hate the other side feminists, because that's not what feminism
but
is about.
in a battle,
I don't know, see,
in a conflict, the silent minority, the silent majority, all of the massive people who say and do nothing against either side, they're irrelevant in a conversation. They're irrelevant to the whole point of the...
See, I wouldn't go that far, but this is the thing.
Well, think of World War II. Literally any conflict you can think of, the silent majority that do nothing, irrelevant.
But what happens is if they go along in support to the leaders...
Well, then they're not silent.
Well, they're not outward speaking out, and so I think we're getting skewed about what the silent majority is, because if there's a lot of people who say identify as feminists who aren't actually aware of how extreme some of these leaders have become, but when they say we need more feminine representation in media, or they're just supporting it and they'll go out of their way to do it, and then the leaders are the one who are determining what is proper feminist representation, and we get stuff like this. That's what it leads to. It leads to the extreme thing becoming mainstream because it's supported by people who are just casually identifying as feminists, and then the whole movement gets co-opted.
What you say about the left saying things that aren't like the opposite of what they're saying.
Yeah.
Feminism, it's not true feminism. It's just under the guise of.
Oh well, that's a different one. How an idea is literally written down when it's first conceived, or what it actually is in reality, or what motivates someone to follow it, and whether they're being dishonest about it with themselves or just to everyone and they know they're lying. That's all very different things. Does that make any sort of sense?
Well, we'll bring it back to Game of Thrones. So these were the main things that I wanted to cover and unpack about it. That, as they say, it's going to be a nuanced discussion about misogyny. And so that makes me wonder how they're going to depict the men in the show. Because there were some really good men in the original, series of Game of Thrones, and some really bad men. But look about, Eddard Stark, right? Like, he nearly killed a man for taking his wife to a brothel. It's like, how dare you let my wife, be seen as, like, defending her honour? Like,
Well, he didn't kill him, he just...
he threatened.
Well, that's actually what you're talking about, the TV show?
Yeah.
No, so Littlefinger said, I have something to show you, got to follow me, and took Eddard Stark back to one of his brothels because that's where he was hiding Lady Catelyn.
Yeah.
Ed didn't know that, and so when he got to the brothel, he grabbed Littlefinger and said, "You're a funny man for bringing me here, very funny man." And then Catelyn stuck her head out the window and said, "Ned," and he's like, "Oh, okay."
Oh, see, I can't remember, because I thought that he was also angry that his wife was there.
She was angry that she was brought there.
Yeah,
she said, "How dare you bring me here?" And he's like, "Sorry, I didn't know where else to bring you." And then he turned out to be a scumbag anyway.
Yeah. But anyway, there were men who were respectable and treated women with respect, okay, in the original Game of Thrones, and then there were also jerk ones
Jon
as
Snow,
well.
he was a nice fella.
He
He never gave in to the thoughts. But then there was Ygritte, and he actually married her in real life, which is nice.
Did he?
He did, yeah. That the wildling girl. Oh my goodness, that whole storyline. She was a great character.
So then now it's like, gee, I wonder how men are going to be depicted in the prequel series, because it sounds like, again, they want the patriarchy to be in control, but they're also going to be showing that their toxic masculinity is ruining everything, that they can't see straight, and they're going to be making stupid decisions left, right, and centre. And I don't mind having stupid men in the show, but give us a balance as well sometimes.
I just don't want them all to be like Chris Hemsworth in Ghostbusters. We can
know?
have dumb guys and smart guys, but just don't have it all following one general theme. I'd appreciate that.
Well, Chris Hemsworth in Ghostbusters was at least nice.
He was a
point,
nice guy.
The point is that he's an
was
idiot.
so
He's a
stupid.
bumbling
A
idiot.
himbo.
Yeah, that's the point, yeah. I don't like that.
That just is getting us off on another topic, because, remember, objectifying women is bad, but if it's objectifying a man, that's completely okay. And even in Ghostbusters, they were objectifying him. Yeah.
Well,
A
to
lot.
be fair, he was wearing his clothes the whole time.
Well, not in Thor: Love and Thunder, but...
Yeah.
That's a different thing.
That's too hard, Dan.
Taika Waititi did that.
Yeah. Alrighty, so that is kind of bringing us to the end of this Game of Thrones discussion. We'll quickly see how chat is going, and
I've
then...
got some super chats if you want to read through some.
Oh, awesome. Let's catch up on what the super chats are saying. Let me bring it up, and I'll refresh. And we're here.
Oh,
Oh, no!
Where's their music?
Oh, stupid flippin' ads.
you can mute the tab by clicking.
I'm just closing it. How's that? Okay, so we'll bring up some super chats. Thank you, guys. We do appreciate it. So, Oz, go!
Oz!
No, how to say that?
Howdy Doodly 629
Okay, there we
for $5 US says, "I would rather step in dog poop in Cleveland than watch the Game of Thrones show." This Game of Thrones show.
Why in Cleveland?
Cleveland sucks. Come on down to Cleveland town, everyone. That's a great song. Victorian Drowned Memory for $5 Canadian, which is $2.50 American. Oz, huge fan of yours, bro. Please check out the Song of Ice and Fire mini war game. You'll love it. Yeah, I heard about that. Maybe. I've kind of taken a break from minis to focus on nothing.
Bank account.
Yeah.
So, Milk the Viking for...
Mike the Viking.
Mike the Viking.
Milk the
Milk
Viking.
the
Viking.
That'll make
See
it
why I
better.
don't do this?
Want me to
I'm
read
just- I'll read this one. $4.99 US. Misogyny, huh? Wasn't Dance of Dragons, the war, started because of two women?
Yes. Well,
Well-
no. Okay, so it was a crisis of, what's it called?
Two houses?
No. When the king dies, succession. It was
Crisis.
a crisis of succession. There was a woman who was told by the king. The king told this girl, "You're going to be the king," and then
You mean queen?
The queen, sorry, and then he died.
Sorry, I'm very against calling female leaders kings. It's like, no, they're not men.
Yeah.
They're queens.
Yeah. Anyway, and then that lady who was going to be queen went away somewhere to where she couldn't be at the seat of power, and then the king's wife, not that woman's mother, a different one, she installed her son on the throne in her place, and it became a civil war.
Yeah.
I wonder
But-
how the show will show it.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Sorry,
That
it's-
doesn't discredit misogyny, though, just because something is started by a woman.
Well, I mean, that's the thing.
It
What
depends
motivates
on the
Purely
context.
as the statement, though. I don't know the context.
Yeah, it depends on the context. Well, this is the thing. I think the reason why people are bringing this up is because in Wheel of Time, the adaptation, right, they specifically reworded certain things to try and blame a massive catastrophic incident called the breaking on men. And there were even lines in the show that blamed men for the breaking, that men ruin the world, when the context from the book is completely different. In actual fact, it was men who saved the world. So the Dark One's prison was opened, and there was a division in how to save the world between the male magic users and female magic users. The female magic users wanted to make the most powerful magic enhancing thing ever to try and just destroy the Dark One, but that might destroy the world. And the men are like, hang on, no, that's not really good. What if we just lead an assault onto the Dark One's prison and seal it up? And the women are like, well, that will never succeed. And so the men went and did that anyway. They did succeed. They saved the world, but the Dark One cursed them with insanity, and because of their insanity, they went crazy. And
if they use magic,
Right.
they will go insane.
And that curse is
But
supposed to have stayed through the entire. And they were so against the context from the novels that the male and female halves of the magic are different, and the male half is cursed, that they didn't even mention that there's a separation in magic in the show. That's how disingenuous they were in this adaptation. And then men saved the world, but they did cause the breaking because they went insane, but it wasn't their fault because of the curse of the Dark One. You don't get that context in the show. They just say it's men's fault.
Yeah.
They destroyed everything.
In the book, over and over again, they say the male side of magic is cursed or tainted, and if you touch it, you'll go insane. But in the show, the literal first scene is, this power isn't meant for you. You men tainted it.
You
with your
men make
touch.
it dirty.
Yeah, you men make this power dirty. When
And so
it's literally the exact opposite.
But this is the thing, though. If you want to go into the deeper context of Wheel of Time, the person that opened up the Dark One's prison was actually two people, but the person who actually had the idea and led it was a woman. And so if they really want to play whose fault is who and go into the context of the book, well, there was a really bad woman who actually...
Yeah, they changed that, didn't they?
What's the point, though?
Well, because the show seemed to have
been.
been trying to assign blame on a certain gender for being inherently bad, essentially. It's the whole men bad feminist
Men too
narrative.
headstrong, men don't listen to women.
And
that
I'm
causes
against
problems.
blaming any gender inherently for actions that someone does if they're male or female, because they're individuals, both men and women do bad things. And people bring up this kind of context, well, hang on, if you really want to do the blame game, and then they bring in greater context like, okay, technically, if you think you're ascribing actions to people due to their gender, well, it was a woman who did that, what do you say now? And then it puts them into a contradictory box because they can't process.
I think the
That's what I said.
more important question is what motivates misogyny and what is qualified as misogyny. Because if you can understand why someone has said something, then you can understand how offended you should be by it, whether you're male or female, or why they've done something.
So in this one, the super chat says 2 women started the war. Is that because it was the mother who put her son on the throne? So she was the woman who was causing a lot of the conflict.
And then the alternate woman was the... But then,
The final girl.
Huh?
The final girl of Game of Thrones.
What do you mean?
You said the ultimate woman.
I didn't say that. I said the alternate woman.
Oh.
So that was the
I
one
thought
who
you
was
said
meant to be
the
queen.
ultimate woman.
She didn't give in. Which is
Final
cool.
girl.
All right, takes a court for $4.99 says, Shad, more like Chad. Am I right? You are right, sir. I'll embrace it.
For the Emperor, for $10 US, here's some money to help out.
Thanks.
Always good to have a loyalist in there.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate that. Claudia, do you want to take this one?
The Field. Game of Thrones lore is middling at best. GRRM will never finish Winds of Winter before he does of Fat.
Before he dies of
Before
fat.
he-
But it is spelled thus.
Hail Tolkien, the lore master. Also, Oz is right. Amazon doesn't care about making money with Prime Video.
I don't know. We'll see.
Chad, I could send you some links to do a bit of reading if you'd like.
It's always got the links.
The thing
got
is,
the
though,
documents.
I see signs that these companies do very much care about money, and we see it more specifically with Warner Brothers.
Yeah. But imagine one of the largest financial systems ever backing it
All right,
up.
Amazon does rechange things. I will acknowledge
talking
this.
about Amazon as the
no,
biggest.
the reason
Okay.
why, because Amazon has insane amounts of money, and even if Rings of Power just becomes a complete bomb, that's going to be a drop in the bucket for their overall thing.
But before you were saying, no, not a production of this level. Not
but I was lacking. I was not acknowledging the context that it is Amazon we're dealing with here, which is just they're not wanting and in financial difficulty at the moment.
Someone in chat, just said, Whose book will come out first? George R. R. Martin's or Shad's next book?
All right, Nard. Stab me right, Nard.
Damn,
There.
which one's going to die?
Take it as a challenge. Take it as a challenge.
Mine's
That's not a
well,
hard
That's
challenge.
not a challenge though, because I don't think it's going to
Kick
come
Stephen
out.
King, that's a challenge.
Here's an update on my novel, okay? So, look, it's half done. I've had trouble finding time, and I've already mentioned that, but I have returned to it in a different kind of way because I decided to take a broader look at the book I'm writing and where I want the series to go and plan out the future and stuff, and realised I wanted to write something a bit more epic and mythological and resonated with deeper themes. And so that caused me to revisit the world building, and that's what I've been doing. I've been restructuring the world building, and I'm friggin' in love with the stuff. I don't know, it's got a really deep resonating mythology of the creation of the world, because what you want to do, right? If you want to deal with certain arcs and everything, you need to set it up properly. And I would love to have a grander battle in the larger story that involves godlike beings and entities. Now, of course, I already had a god in the world, but I wanted kind of lesser godlike beings with great powers that could really have an interesting, overarching story. And I didn't have them in the world building, so I needed to go back and justify it all about how these greater godlike, lesser godlike beings came in part of the creation. And that just has kind of led to some just a fun narrative in the world building that very few people are ever going to read. Makes me want to write a Silmarillion type of appendix novel of myself. Because when I say, I'm talking pages upon pages of like small things like of world building backstory. And that's all essentially development of the book. I have been doing that, and so there has been some movement on it. As to when, I don't know. I just need to work on it when I have time. And also finding the right headspace is difficult. If I get it out before Martin, that would be shocking. I will admit, that would be
Chad
shocking.
also said at least you have the excuse of you're building castles at the same time. Whereas, what's Martin doing?
Well, actually, Martin is doing
Enjoying his
heaps.
money.
He's been working on prequel stuff. He's been working on stuff that he's been hiring. He's working on this, and so there have been people really ticked off that he's been chasing the money and doing all these other projects and working on.
I think Chad was just saying that the excuse of building castles is a lot grander than saying,
Maybe.
I'm working on my next prequel.
But
If I was George R. R. Martin, I'd be like, yeah, I got the money. So what?
well,
You'll get it when you get it.
the thing is, though, people are worried they won't ever get it, and I do agree that there is a kind of an unspoken promise and investment of trust by your audience that should be fulfilled and honoured by the author.
Wheel of Time.
I mean-
Shadkus died.
Sorry, not what?
Sorry.
Are you expressing, wishful thinking there?
No, Robert Jordan died. They're both RJs, so it's hard. Robert Jordan died, and he got one of the other best fantasy authors ever.
Brandon
Yeah.
Sanderson to finish it off. And so, yeah, I get fans want to see a series. And the interesting thing is, people ask me specifically about sequels to Shadow of the Conqueror, but I heard, and people seem to understand this, that Shadow of the Conqueror was written more as a standalone with sequel potential, and so I'm more happy to let the one rest on its own as a solo novel that I do intend to visit with sequels, but it has a very closed story at the moment with a crack in the door to continue it on, that I will later on, and I've got this other series book that I'm working on. And so with this other new one, I've kind of structured it that I can start it with an initial trilogy, that leads to another kind of secondary trilogy that's on a grander scale. And so this first trilogy is almost like my Hobbit story, but in 3 books and it's not like a Hobbit, but in terms of the first trilogy sets up a much grander story, and that's how I'm pacing and structuring it. And then the second trilogy, I want it to be mythical, big, and stuff, where this one is far lower in scale, smaller in scale, less fantasy, but it's the story where the fantastical elements are discovered and the pending doom, because that's what happens in The Hobbit. They discover something that leads to something big. And so that's going to be the first trilogy, and I'm excited for it. So hopefully you'll be excited for it too when it comes out. Thank you for the chat. I appreciate it. Daniel Todd for $5 US. Hello, Knights. Just joined the stream. How do you guys think the Game of Thrones Jon Snow sequel will do?
Awful.
Sequel? It's going to be a sequel with Jon Snow. I heard that, then I forgot about it.
Jon Snow.
McQueen.
Jon Snow. Winter is coming.
Okay, Game of Thrones ended so bad that this is a bad move. What they should do is like either, I don't know, like remake the last season, or I don't trust them with the talent to just remake the whole show, because like they couldn't do better than the first few seasons, and they're building off of a crap cake, a dumpster fire for a sequel after how that ended. So yeah, I don't think it'll work out. Sword Collector for $1.99. I never watched Game of Thrones as well. Berserk, more interesting. I am getting more and more,
Probably
inclined.
got some more wax scenes too.
Yeah.
Berserk, yeah, holy crap.
The show is literally called Berserk.
Berserk has some of the most full-on shocking graphic stuff in it, and I'm not attracted to read it because of that, but I am attracted to read it because of just full-blown in-your-face fantasy, and I'm tempted to start... So, have you read Berserk?
No.
No.
But I've seen things. I watched a movie once, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting, and I watched it, and I was very, very confused the whole way through, and I realized it was the third movie.
I watched some of the first anime OVA of Berserk. I might have even watched the whole thing because I've forgotten most of it. And look, I know that's not the greatest adaptation, and then there are other adaptations, a more recent one that was told to be crap. And so, if I'm going to go and get into Berserk, I think I'm just going to go straight to the manga. It's funny because there was a big controversy, excuse me, when Goblin Slayer, the anime, comes out, because the monsters are particularly monstrous and they do bad things to women. And there was this massive outcry because of this. And I saw this meme that made me chuckle, where it's the puppet where he's standing there and he looks sideways and then he just keeps looking forward, where it's like everyone complaining about Goblin Slayer, and then it shows that meme was like Berserk fans, and they're just like, not saying anything, because Berserk goes way further than Goblin Slayer did.
In Goblin Slayer, goblins do bad things to women, and Goblin Slayer does really bad things to goblins. So it's kind of balanced.
Well, the whole context of that is that how awful goblins are. They're vile, evil creatures, and it makes you want to see them just get destroyed. And one of the like context for Goblin Slayer, if you don't know, right? So this bad thing happens with goblins, right? And in the same episode, it shows goblin babies, and there's like a question: is it morally wrong for them to kill them? But it's in the context that they'll most likely grow up and do this kind of thing. That's how evil and bad goblins are inherently in their very. This is like one of the things that I appreciate about Goblin Slayer is that they weren't afraid to make truly evil monsters that are inherently evil. Whereas there's this eggshell tiptoeing, can't offend everyone bullcrap where they think it's problematic that monsters are inherently evil, and D&D, Wizards of the Coast have made like there are no inherently evil races anymore, and that ticks me off because
But it's fiction.
one of the staples of fantasy are inherently evil monsters, and they're useful in narrative because they give you an easy bad guy that's actually satisfying, because if you make a human bad, it'll usually be unsatisfying unless you justify it. Otherwise, they come off as this mustache-twirling villain. Whereas monsters, you can actually get away with it and it's satisfying, and then you have an easy kind of conflict in the story to inject, and they become really cool.
Well, the reason it works for monsters is because, like a bear isn't morally grey or morally evil, it's just an animal that wants to eat things.
See, I actually disagree. I think animals you can ascribe evil actions and intents to animals.
You didn't read Moby Dick?
No, like we've had this debate before, but I think animals can feel emotion, like anger, vindictiveness, and even cruelty.
There are smarter animals, but because they're not human, because they didn't take from
And
the
you'll
fruit.
notice there's
No, but
more
see,
cruelty in the smarter animals.
See, my position: if
True.
a bear eats a baby, that is an evil thing. And
It's an awful thing. It's horrible.
but
but the
anyway,
bear's not evil because it ate something.
It's an evil act.
Why was the baby out in bear territory?
Look, maybe we'll have
Maybe
a
the parents
debate
are
on it
stupid.
future, because but anyway, we won't go further on that, and we're getting a bit off topic. Anyway, so thank you for the super chat. We do appreciate it. And so there's probably going to be more super chats. We'll get back to them, but we do want to cover some of the other things that we wanted to cover in this stream. Just kind of like random news items, because we don't have like a full trailer to react to. And so we will we'll continue on that. So what was one of the next things that we were going to talk about?
Lots of DC stuff to
There
cover.
is lots of DC stuff. Like there's this one here.
yeah.
All the cancellations that DC has done.
Yep, that guy. What's his name again?
Is it? No, I don't.
Supergirl movie?
You didn't even know there was a Supergirl movie being made? It's cancelled now.
Oh, it
thank
got
goodness.
cancelled. Oh, thank goodness. That costume was awful.
It looked terrible.
Terrible.
And they, of course, they race swapped Supergirl.
Was it she had short dark hair?
and her
made
costume was. It wasn't.
So
that, her
Supergirl
costume
was
terrible.
always like a blonde character.
I know Supergirl is, but
Well, they race
I saw
changed.
an image,
and it looked just
search a
but I'm
Supergirl
not sure
movie.
if that
or
was
Yeah,
actually
we go.
Supergirl or not.
No, Supergirl.
Because I saw the S.
So
Oh, that's the
that's the old
There
one.
it is, right there. Oh, it's here too.
Oh yeah, so
Ah, yes.
Look at that
So
awful
I
costume.
did see her in a screenshot with the Flash, and another the Flash.
That is the worst costume.
Is she going to be in the Flash movie?
So they have not cancelled the Flash movie, yet more stuff comes out about what Ezra Miller
Well,
is
I
doing.
saw a screenshot. So is she going to? Is she
Dunno.
with the Flash?
No
I
idea.
don't know. So
We don't know if the Flash movie is going to be.
well, at the moment it isn't cancelled, but more crap comes out about Ezra Miller and him actually committing felonies and stuff, and it's making it worse and worse, and it continues happening. There was something new even this morning in the last few days. And so what is Warner Brothers, DC, whoever's like doing it, gonna do? Because it's just getting worse and worse.
Is Ezra Miller just like speeding around the country, like committing these felonies?
And
Like bloody Sonic the Hedgehog?
I've heard people call him like the Carmen San Diego in real life, like, and that it's ironic that the actor that they can't catch because it's so fast he plays the Flash and things.
He's running like little Leia.
So, but they've
No, he's
cancelled
running
all
after
these.
Little Leia.
They've cancelled all these other shows, and look, just that looks pretty awful. The Supergirl
costume
outfit
looks
there.
If they got rid of that
Where's
red
her
part
underwear?
under the suit.
So
It needs to be over the suit.
I don't mind getting rid of the underwear, but I know people have. This is probably heresy for comic book purists and everything.
Doesn't Henry Cavill not have underwear?
He doesn't
on
have
his?
underwear, and
Yeah.
I thought the Henry Cavill Superman outfit was awesome.
Jeez, if she was wearing that outfit, you'd hope she
That
was
was
wearing underwear.
that was the classic Supergirl outfit.
What does Henry Cavill's outfit look like?
It's in the same
Is it just
pattern in
all
terms
the
of
way
having a
blue
Search
but with
texture.
the symbol?
Yeah.
Literally just search
Basically,
it.
Yeah,
yeah.
that's,
Henry Cavill Superman.
Henry Cavill. So, yeah, it looked like Henry Cavill's Superman outfit. I think that looks awesome, and it looks to me,
Her cape gonna be
in my
CG?
heretical opinion, I think it looks better without the underwear on the outside. Myself,
Okay, let's try.
Well, I suppose it does have some elements.
This is a great movie, by the way.
Around his hips.
I think that's better.
no, I don't. Oh well, look,
Why
I
did he
like the
have
brighter
underwear
colors.
in the first
I-
place?
I think.
I want to know that.
Well, you know why? I think it comes from the old strongman thing. So if you remember the old strongman, how they would just be wearing the togs,
Just the
but
speedos.
just the speeders, but that would be immodest, and so
So let's bring Henry Cavill
No,
back
no,
into the budgie smugglers.
I know why. It's because he always wore his Superman costume underneath his clothes. Well, his underwear.
But if you could imagine that with just instead of the blue and the thing, that's like the old strongman outfit, and I think that's what they're going with because Superman was like a super strong man.
That was a great movie. Superman Returns was a great
I
movie.
enjoyed it.
It was. I think honestly, I liked Henry Cavill's Superman, right? But I don't like his Superman movie.
Yeah, there are heaps of issues with Man of Steel and stuff, and I like the more hopeful beacon of hope concept of
Does
Superman.
look like Superman.
I think the Superman's super sim psyche-S is too small. I don't like the budgie smugglers, the underwear on the outside. I like the colours, and I reckon if they gave Henry Cavill colours, you could go with the texture.
She needs it. There needs more like detailing around the hip area to like break up the blue
So,
leotard.
what are they trying to do with the fake
The blue
six-pack
unitard.
here? Like, it looks so... It's like she's just got, I don't know, things trying to poke out of her gut like Alien. It's like, it looks awful. It's so...
Maybe
looks
it looks
terrible.
different when she's standing.
Nope.
No,
Nope.
never mind.
It looks.
Jokes.
Superman Returns was the best one,
is so
objectively.
It looks so awful. Like, what are they thinking with the six-pack? It does not look real at all. Anyway, it's cancelled, guys. This is gone.
They're flushing a lot of money down the toilet.
Well, there's a lot more money that comes into marketing and everything else like that.
So, is it fully cancelled? Because this is saying slows development on Static Shock, Supergirl, Green Lantern Corps, and Superman projects. Now, a couple of things. Static Shock is actually an example of, instead of changing the race of pre-existing characters, they make a character of that race, and there's actually a big fan base of Static Shock that is not a terrible character. That is half decent. And so that cancellation is a bit, crappy for the fans.
Yeah,
but
same thing with Miles Morales.
Green Lantern Corps, I would love to see a good Green Lantern film.
I can't take it seriously. I can't take it seriously. As
Can one of those exist?
What?
Oh, a good Green Lantern
A good Green Lantern film.
No, just his superpowers. No offense, fans of Green Lantern. His superpowers are stupid. He can manifest objects of any complex.
It's the power of it's the power of creation and imagination.
I would prefer.
I think they do it in campy ways. That's not. But there are other Green Lanterns that, instead of making, I don't know, race cars on a racetrack that's like, or giant hands, they make freaking giant space guns and swords and things.
Yeah, see.
There was an animated series, and that wasn't actually that bad.
Yeah, but the whole powers contradict the own powers. Like, if you can manifest physical things out of nothing, then what's to stop you from... And those things can destroy other things, then what's to stop you from just destroying the other thing? Like Dr. Manhattan.
I agree with Oz. It gets to the whole playground of, like, I have a gun, I have a shield that blocks that gun, or I have a gun that shoots through the shields.
No, but not
and then
just
you go back and
But
forth.
not just that. If I can manifest things from nothing with my mind, and that thing can destroy something else using nothing but my mind, then...
Okay.
I should just be able to destroy that thing with my mind, like Dr. Manhattan.
Lean into it and make a fun show.
Yeah. But it does raise the question. I do wonder if you could just create a growing spike that expands outwards of someone's chest.
Well, Dr. Manhattan, he can literally reform matter as he sees fit. Literally do anything. He can teleport everything, right? He can shrink everything. He's walked across the surface of the sun, right? And when someone tries to kill him, like a regular person, he's just like... and that person explodes.
Yeah, but the Green Lantern, that's not the Green Lantern powers, though. A Green Lantern has to create solid light objects. They can't change matter.
Well, no, but they do. By creating light, by creating matter using light. If they make a gun...
But they
or a
can't
jet,
just unexist someone.
Yeah.
No, but they can already bring something into reality.
Which is a cool power.
And that thing that they brought into reality can destroy something else.
Well, no, there are limitations on the strength of what they can bring in. Usually by their focus and will, and if they're not focusing right, the object will either be weak or can be shattered easily. And so it has some good limitations built into the power system there.
I just think it's stupid.
And my opinion is when it's done right and inventively, it can be a really engaging, fun power, but they did it goofy and crappy.
I can't see it being a serious movie.
I think it could be done seriously.
All right, chat, you're divided on this. We're doing a vote. Is Oz right on this?
Dr. Manhattan was awesome as a character. Because he was just like, he basically has near godlike powers.
Didn't he just stop caring and go away?
Yeah, he was like, I'm so sick of all these people, like, nothing matters to me. Literally nothing mattered to him, basically. And then...
He's an intriguing character. I'm not sure I could say enjoyable or engaging enough. Like, he was a great, cause of conflict in the movie Watchmen, okay? But having a whole show about him, I don't think he's better for other characters learning to deal.
I'm not saying do
yeah.
that.
A whole show about Dr.
I'm not saying making a show about him. I'm saying he's just an incredibly good character.
Yeah, it was a very intriguing character.
I think that was a good example of an OP character. I don't like OP characters, especially when they're good guys.
I agree.
One Punch Man had the same
hang on though. I agree that he was a good example of an OP character, but I love Superman.
I don't.
There are things that I find... Look, Kryptonite is always treated too cheaply and inconsistently. Kryptonite could be great if they're inconsistent about it. It freaking ticked me off in Smallville how they were so inconsistent with Kryptonite. At one point... It gets like a meter away from it and it debilitates him completely. But in another episode, because the plot demands it, he's strong enough to pick up the kryptonite and throw it away and then is fine. I'm
Don't they do it in the Superman with the budgie smugglers?
Superman
he
Returns.
has 2 movies, doesn't he?
No,
they're also very
Doesn't he-
inconsistent with kryptonite in the films as
Doesn't
well.
he hold like a whole kryptonite island in that one?
No, the island wasn't kryptonite. The island was an amalgamation of kryptonite and stone from the...
But it was essentially supposed to be like it had the same effect.
It was
weakened.
It had veins of kryptonite, and
He played an anime
They
move.
justify it because he goes in front of the sun and gets supercharged, and they're
Yeah.
trying to say that gave him
Okay.
enough power to withstand the island kryptonite until
more
he threw it.
originally he had literally been stabbed by a shard of kryptonite and it had it broken off inside of his ribs. So that probably should have depowered him. That was just a great movie.
That was like an anime move there.
I loved it.
See, I do have questions about the consistency of kryptonite, and that gives me. Thing is, though, when Superman is done right, he's done great because it's not about
But he's also
can
done by
Superman
so many
beat the
different people.
villain. It's usually about can Superman manage his powers, right? But also when he's challenged in regards to things outside of his powers and stuff, and that's when you get some really, really good Superman stories. Because I do love that there is just something really satisfying about an unbeatable hero that you were just waiting to come in and save the day. One Punch Man does this surprisingly well. Like I've watched up to I think the first season, maybe the second season of One Punch Man, and his stick is one punch. He can basically beat anyone. And so a lot of it though is really funny because he's a bit of a airhead. He's not fully like it.
See,
He's
I
simple.
don't mind those kinds of OP characters because it's comedy.
It is.
It's funny. It's hilarious.
Well, what's really funny is when you get this villain, right, who's really of himself, who's really strong and everything, and these other heroes are struggling to beat him and everything, and it's validating this villain's, feelings of how strong they are, and then Saitama comes along, and he looks like this goof, and the guy's like, who are you? And then he just kills him in one punch, and it's just really satisfying. I love it.
But he had the same problem as Dr. Manhattan. Like, he was
He's
completely... bored, aloof,
Yep.
detached.
Yeah.
But that's an inherent part of the... He's way more interesting than Dr. Manhattan, I find.
I disagree.
Good old Saitama.
Saitama is a simple man.
But that what makes him good. And so... And the fact that he has to find purpose in other things, and the conversation that happens between him and... I forget... Anyway, I don't want to give
robot
spoilers.
kid?
No, it's the hero that everyone thinks is really strong, but I won't give spoilers. Okay, so... Going back to this, DC, seems to be cleaning house, and there's been a whole host of new cancellations, so... All right, we'll see what happens in the future with that. Is it a course correction and we'll get some decent stuff? Don't know.
Can I say one thing? You think that, like, and I agree, that what makes Superman interesting is what he can't do and what can defeat him. Dr. Manhattan is literally invulnerable to everything.
I know,
and
yeah.
can teleport anywhere instantly and destroy literally anything at any time, right? And even he got defeated by one smart guy. Because
he was defeated.
He was defeated.
He wasn't necessarily.
He was beaten.
He was convinced otherwise.
No, his what do you call it? His image was destroyed by So basically, Dr. Manhattan goes away.
Don't want to give spoilers.
Why not?
Okay, I know
Watchmen
some people.
movie?
The Watchmen movie. Have you seen it?
Isn't it like so old?
Yeah, it came out in 2008. Anyway, there was the Cold War going on.
Lock
Nuclear
your
war could
ears.
happen anytime. And Dr. Manhattan leaves because he's a nuclear deterrent. And everyone's like, oh, what's going to happen? And so when he comes back, New York, all these famous cities all around the world are destroyed, and it looks like he did it, but he didn't. He was framed.
Oh.
Yeah.
When you said destroy his image, and I was kind of imagining him as like a godly creature, I was like, what, they took his face away?
No. They
Okay, his reputation.
Yeah. They made him look like a
okay,
mass murderer.
right. I had never finished the Watchmen movie.
Oh, so good.
I got bored.
There were other things that you might have to bring them up or give us the lead in for them, Nathan. Cause,
Yep.
So what were some of the other things that we'll mention as discussion points? And while Nathan looks that up, I'll quickly visit the chat again, see how people are going.
Yeah, there's more super chats.
Hello.
If you want to
Oh,
come
all right.
in
Well,
on.
let's we'll catch up on super
Those are
chats and
bigger
then.
ones.
All right. Let me refresh. Excuse me. All right. So continuing.
Last one we read was Berserk.
Berserk, yes. So, Huron the Steadfast for $5 Canadian. A little off topic, but could a mace be designed and sharp enough to decapitate a person? I mean, decapitate essentially means severing from the neck, but if you're looking at decapitate as just taking off the head, I mean, if you hit a head hard enough with a mace and make it explode, you could almost get a decapitation effect, but not a true kind of clean-cut decapitation, not with a mace, because it's not flat enough. Interesting question, though. Claudia, do you want to grab the next one?
Jasper Lane, as the number 2 expert on Game of Thrones in New Mexico, I will say the story they're adapting does have room for delving into the misogyny of
A Song of Ice and Fire.
Since that is the main reason she is not chosen, I am personally more worried about the casting of Corey's.
Wait a minute. That's the main reason that the rightful queen wasn't chosen, but the wrongful queen was put on the throne, a young boy, by his mother. So how is that misogyny? Is it internalized misogyny on the mother's part?
They probably will go that thing, because my thing is like, I get it. There are elements that you could draw from, even from medieval history, about misogynistic elements, right? But the thing is, there are also other elements in which there were misandristic elements, as well as, and I don't think they're going to give a balanced take.
Yeah, no doubt.
They're just going to be focusing on one side. I'm not saying it isn't justified in the history, but I'm concerned about if it's going to be a fair... Because if their priority in the storytelling is to make a statement about toxic masculinity and everything, that means it's probably going to be crap, because their first priority should just be writing a good story, not trying to send a message, and with massive red flags that is not the case.
It's howdily doodly again.
Howdily doodly! Howdily doodly to you, sir. 629. Sorry, you were about to say something? Okay. For $4.99, says, I'll return every week to watch your 2-hour episode reviews instead of watching the show. Oz is a national treasure.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage had to steal the Declaration of Independence to find me.
Sound Engraver for $5, thank you, sir, says, I saw your Rings of Power video. Rest assured, Tolkien made Isildur absolutely masculine and a hero. He also had a good relationship with Elendil. So there was another article that almost came into this weekly watch, and it was an article on Isildur about, you know, he's going to be finding himself, and he's not, and there's like, so I'll just give you some quick things about it, where basically their treatment of Isildur is going to be, he's going to try, he resent his father a bit, he doesn't want to do what his father wants, and he wants to do something else, and it just comes off like Isildur is going to be just a wet rag of a character, not strong, and so it looks like they're ruining him. And the other thing is, right, they were trying to say that some of these characters like Isildur and Elendil, there were less written about them, so they could they could explore new things when actually Isildur and Elendil had pretty like defined characters in the works that Tolkien has written about them. And it seems like that they're ignoring it, and they're just they're going to do their own take on these characters, which means they're not really their characters, are they?
The Field for $5 US. What does Elida... I can't read the rest of that.
Elida do
Avrini-
Avrini Arohan deserve? Shad, same question.
She deserves death.
Okay, no, so
Arohan.
I know what Elida's fate is.
Don't spoil it.
I'm not going to spoil it. I'm just going to say, like, look, it comes as so much like poetic justice that, it is so harsh, though.
I got to.
I'm not sure I could wish that fate on anyone, because that was one of the big sticking points that I have with the resolution of the show. What happens to Elida, the larger story around that, I have issues that I don't feel it's properly resolved. I would like to have seen more resolution with the thing that causes Elida's fate.
Wait, is Elida the Forsaken?
No, Elida, you first meet Elida when Rand goes and meets the Queen. She's the Aes Sedai that is counselling the Queen in Chainmail.
What colour?
She's red.
Oh, red. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and
she's the severe-looking woman who could be considered handsome, but she's so serious.
Yeah. But Egwene, does Egwene have a vision of her that she's in?
I don't.
When she goes through the...
I can't remember. I think so.
Okay, well then, I don't know how much bad she's done yet.
Yeah, you're not there yet.
Okay.
There's a lot more. There's a lot more that happens with Elida, and Elida is such a well-written character. Like in terms of, because everything she does is justified, but it's also because of her own flaws, and what she does is not good either, but it's so well written. She's actually a nuanced character who you see everything is justified in what she's doing. Usually, I don't want to give spoilers, but what an effective character for the series. Elida was really well done. And when I say I like her, I don't want you to think she's an awful person and you hate her, but that means she's so well written and effective. I like that she's so effective in the series. Anyway, get me onto Wheel of Time. I can talk about it forever.
I like Nynaeve and Elaine. They're my favourite ladies in the series.
Elaine is hilarious.
Elaine is so funny.
Oh, she's great.
And strong and scary too at the same time.
All right. Claudia, do you want to take this one?
Baybren314, here's some cash I saved by making myself rice tonight instead of ordering pizza. You guys are always entertaining. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, man.
Wish I had your strength.
I was going to say, I noticed that sacrifice
Good job.
because I could not do that. I'd order pizza every time.
I'm starting to move beyond pizza, as heretical as that is.
I never really liked
Beyond pizza and onto calzones.
I mean,
I only
maybe
like
it's
pizza
like,
when I make it myself.
I can enjoy it, but it just doesn't do the thing. It doesn't do it for me.
Maybe
I
it's
like
not
a
having
good pepperoni pizza.
Yes!
I can always go for that.
Pepperoni with marinara.
I'd rather
Yeah.
eat buttered chicken.
But, you know, I haven't had pizza for a while, so I always have it as a treat.
Steak.
Nothing's more satisfying than whole meat.
Oz knows where my steak game can reach. And
The high stake steak.
steak.
My steak is good though too, if I get it right. Sometimes I make mistakes. No pun
Oh,
intended.
sorry, chat. We're
My dad
talking
does the
blasphemy.
best steak.
Oh, your dad's a great bloody...
Okay. Sword Collector for $1.99. They're continuing the anime without CGI for Berserk. Okay, that'll be interesting because the CGI one I did not hear was great. Sorry. I heard wasn't great is what I meant to say. And I was trying to say I did not hear was good because I didn't hear it was good. I heard that was
As
actually
in the
somewhat bad.
story or the CGI?
The CGI anime of Berserk wasn't that. Is it great? But that's just the general reviews that
Anime
I
and
saw.
CGI is a very strained relationship.
Okay, the CGI in Berserk is really stiff from what I saw, but there are some that pull it off. One of my favorite CGI animes, just anime generally, is Blame. I mentioned it to you the other day.
Haven't watched
Blame
it
on Netflix.
CGI anime. Can I
The
look something
CGI
up
is still
real
a-
quick?
Look it up.
Okay, look it up while I'm talking. The CGI is actually pretty stiff in Blame, but I'm immersed in that world. I find that world so hypnotically haunting and ethereal and dark, and it just draws me in. I was like, and it drew me in so much. I ended up reading the Blame manga. The art style in the manga was a bit too. It was a bit too messy, honestly. But still, the overall story in Blame is just what a crazy setting.
I
What a
watched
crazy world.
Dorohedoro, that anime on Netflix is CG. I really liked it, and I thought they did the CG for the anime pretty well. And then I bought the first volume for the manga. I want to buy the other ones, but they're always sold out. But the manga, it's just a really grungy style, and even though the grunginess is more organic in the manga, I think they translated that pretty well into the CGI. Anyway, so this one, Land of the Lustrous, I just needed to look it up to remember the name of it. That's a CG anime, and because the characters are crystals, they decided to go with CG because it would be easier to translate that.
Of course, the white girl loves the one about the crystals.
It's pretty. That's what made me think of it. They used CG, and I think they're the same creators as Beastars, which
I don't know that one.
Beastars did CG really well, but it's
Beastars.
It's very.
A-Stars is so much
Wait, hang on. It was what, Claudia?
What? I don't know what.
Heresy. I just heard
What
a
did I say? I don't know
you
what
didn't say.
you're
Okay,
talking
I
about.
missed it. Claudia is our resident weeb. But
Anyway, they
what-
did the CG animation really well. Land of the Lustrous is really pretty and also did the CG really well. And when they did close-ups of faces, they did 2D animation, but they blended in really well. You barely even noticed.
I thought she was our
So
resident
you
female.
want a good animated CG anime?
Alright.
Land of the Lustrous.
recommendation. What's my weeb cred? Because I'm like, I'm a little bit, but I'm not like full blown anime
I think
everything.
there's
You like
swords in it.
You're like a captain in the Weeb Army.
Because I have a somewhat well-read anime kind of repertoire, roster, whatever stuff.
I'm like a kitchen wench in terms of the anime army goes. I've seen like 3 things.
One.
I like Ghibli stuff. What was that one with the...
Nausicaa Valley of the Wind.
That was great. No, not that one. Micah, the land...
Oh,
with Fates-
Micah, Land of the Forgotten Flower or something?
Anyway, it was about like this...
Makia.
Makia. It's about like this elven lady who she...
Eldorf.
basically an elf who leaves her land accidentally and comes to the human world and finds a poor abandoned
Land's
baby.
destroyed.
Claudia, stop spoiling it. She finds a poor abandoned
It's
baby.
the beginning of the movie.
She finds a poor abandoned baby and raises it, and it is the most heartbreaking. It literally, I cried at the end, man.
Oh, okay. I watched the remade Spriggan. It's average. It's not terrible, and it's not woke, which is good. It's just like fun, action, bit dumb. That was one of the more recent ones I've watched. And then I rewatched Blame recently because it's just cool. Blame. But thank you. We'll go back to the super chats. So this one is from Nikki Badley for $100.
What?
Nick, not
What?
Nikki. Nick Badley. Is it Badley?
Badly.
I'll take
Oh, he's
time to-
Nick, all right.
Badly.
Badly.
Dude, thank you. I wanted to send my support as much as I can. Thank you, mate, really. But I also wanted to say that you have excellent ideas relating to tabletop RPGs that I hope to implement into my system that I am developing. If you're interested, I would like to ask if you would like to be involved. Look, thank you for the offer. Unfortunately, I just don't have the time. There would be no way. And I have developed my own tabletop RPG with my brother, Cogent Roleplay. It's open source. It's available for free. You can check it out on cogentroleplay.com. Thank you very much for the chat, though, mate.
The Field for $5. But Shad, something orcs, something racism. Oh, sorry, racism.
Racism.
That's actually a good word for it now. I like that. Racism.
Or like it is like they say it's racist, but it comes from the most racist viewpoint that orcs somehow reflect black people. And if you look at orcs and see black people, holy crap, it is so dumb. And then that it's morally wrong to create a race that is all evil. And it's like, friggin' what? Are you kidding me?
Up.
It's
What about
fiction.
demons?
I know.
We have morally evil races in the real world, Germans. I'm kidding. That's
Wow,
a joke.
gosh.
That's clearly a joke. That's clearly a joke.
I know it's a joke, but that one's pretty far.
What have the Germans ever done?
They
Nothing.
made some goods.
We were invited into France.
Technological
The Germans in medieval times, they had some cool stuff going. Like,
Well,
just
recently,
their
though.
sword laws were friggin' based in medieval Germany.
Yeah.
Okay. So orcs, yes, thank you for the super chat. Ender Raids, $2. Can you react to the Primal 1 and 2 trailer? I saw clips of Primal on my Twitter feed.
The animated series?
It was animated. It looked very interesting. Looked very graphic and bloody. It's
Very
like,
good animation.
yeah, I might need to give it a go. So, very, very possible, sir. Thank you. Daniel Todd for $10 US. Hey, Shad, look up Henry Cavill classic Superman suit. There are good concepts. I will agree that there are, but I just don't like the underwear whenever they're gone. Like, even the new 52 Superman, gotten rid of the underwear, to me, improvement.
You want to take Superman's underwear off
I do.
so you can see his super balls?
No, not for that, Oz.
Oh. What do you got if you got a super ball in this hand and a super ball in this hand? Superman at your mercy.
Kalinka Pavlova. Is that how you say it? Oh,
Yep.
you've got a pronunciation.
Kalinka Pavlova.
Yep. Goku vs Superman. Who'd win at the peak? Go.
Whoever wins, I'd snooze. I don't care.
An endless
I
battle.
care. How dare you?
Well, I didn't say you're not allowed to care.
They're both immortal, right? Fighting forever.
So this is the thing, right? I am not sure I'm convinced on the argument that Superman has limitless power. That's the death battle argument, why Superman would always win. And I think they take that from specific moments in the comic books where they just lose their connection with realism and just let Superman do stupid things.
Haven't there been moments where, like, they take him away from the sun or something?
Yeah.
and
Because
block the sun off?
this is my argument, right? If they're going to take those moments from the comic books, I think you should also then take into context all the moments where Superman has been defeated and overpowered. And there's times where he has been defeated and overpowered. And there's arguments for saying, oh, he wasn't accessing the full level of his power, he didn't realise the full level of his powers.
So what?
I was like, no, I think
Still
you need
defeated.
to take all those aspects into consideration, which in context means Superman's power can reach limitations if it's imposed by himself or other things. And then there is the kryptonite argument, and the death battle argument is that Goku would never use kryptonite against him. And I
Has
think
he
that's
ever
fair.
flown into the sun?
Yeah, probably.
Superman, he's
To get
done
the stains out of his suit. Yeah.
the levels of ridiculousness Superman has done in the comic books are
Superman bench pressed the planet at one point.
Yeah, well, he also moved the planet. He towed
That's what
it.
I just said.
And turned it back in time.
But like he's gone beyond that. He's like Superman has done insane. So the thing is though, I think both their powers in reality are too undefined because Goku is now on like Super Saiyan God level, whatever, and so
What is his power level?
Goku.
it always goes bigger. With every like the death battle ones where Goku was I don't know Super Saiyan whatever number, but then he became Super Saiyan God after, and then they did a
Also an
rething.
alien, or was he?
Goku's an alien.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the one where he cuts off his tail?
Which
Is that a
one?
different anime?
No, he cuts off his tail.
He cuts off his tail.
Well,
Because he wants to limit his power or something?
no, his tail gets removed in Dragon Ball for different reasons and other things.
Yeah.
So this is too much of an open argument to be able to say definitively in my mind because
There's no way
what's
to-
chat saying though? I bet
They
they're going
will
off.
fight forever.
Oh, people are just over 9,000. So I'm mentioning, with Oz's bench pressing the whole world joke. Someone's like, "How much do you bench?" And they're just like, "Everything. I bench everything."
So I would look. The other thing is Goku has a wider repertoire of destructive powers. Superman's ones are kind of limited, and so there is a valid argument that Goku could actually win. If you take the argument that Superman's powers shouldn't be limitless, but if Superman's powers are limitless, you have that logic, you can't beat Superman. So
Scarfy the Strange for $5 US. ESG has converted private corporations to government propaganda by giving them profits for filling a checklist.
Oz likes that one.
Yep, 'cause
and
it's
look,
true.
the ESG is a real thing. It actually exists. You can look it up. I
it's
don't
what's causing this whole
know
thing.
if it's the answer for everything because I think a lot of companies still follow the bottom line. They still want to make money. There's signs of that.
Yeah, but
So
Shad, if I want to get paid from you, I have to do what you say, correct?
I don't want to get into the argument right now. That's just
point
my
exactly
take on it
right
at the
there.
moment.
I
Okay.
have to stop.
No. We're not going to argue it when we're live, but we can discuss it later. But anyway, we have had discussions like that, and I still, that's my take on it. But we do appreciate the super chat. Okay, Captain Redbeard for $5 donates $5. We appreciate that. Thank you.
Gracias.
Sword Collector for $1.99. We'll be watching Tekken Bloodline anime. Is this new or is it already out? Or is this a question? Will we be watching Tekken Bloodline anime? If it's coming out, I'd be interested in it. So we'll see. All right, Captain Redbeard for $5 AU. Lol, missed putting the message on the last one. Hey, okay. Well, thank you for the second one, Captain Redbeard. Hey, Shad, can you make a list of your top book series you would recommend to read? I would need to think about that a bit because there's a lot of ones that I'd need to remember, and some because look, these are some of my favorite off the top of my head, but as to gauging a list, I loved the Riftfold saga. I think it was Raymond E. Feist who did that. That was always really fun. Dragonlance I loved as a kid. Ender's Game, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Of course, then Wheel of Time is up there at the top. Lord of the Rings is up there at the top. Mistborn, though I actually like the Wax and Wayne Mistborn novels, but man, Mistborn itself was really, really good. And I love all of Brandon Sanderson works, but I enjoy the ones that are a bit more snappy and faster paced, and that's why I really like the Wax and Wayne ones. I love Stormlight still, but there are certain parts of Stormlight that are a bit slower for me, and so as a result, yeah, the shorter stuff I really enjoy. And those are just the ones off the top of my head. What are some of your favourites, guys?
Yeah, basically every Brandon Sanderson book I've read has been great. I bloody love. I'm reading John French's Warhammer 40k books about the Siege of Terra, and John French just knows how to write everything I want to hear. I also read Sabriel recently, which I liked for the same reasons. I like it when they explain abstract things in a really creative way. And so yeah, Sabriel, anything by John French and Warhammer 40k, Brandon Sanderson, and that's basically it, I guess.
I like Sabriel is one of my favorite books by Garth Nix. I've liked pretty much everything Garth Nix has written that I've read so far. I like Terror by Mitch Benn. That's a sci-fi book. I like a lot of Neil Gaiman books. I really liked Stardust.
Is that the one that had the film adaptation?
Yes.
Yes, I really like that movie too.
Oh, so there was the film adaptation somewhat decent for the book?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know the book, but the movie was good.
I think the movie was kind of modernized and made for a wider audience than the book was. The book was very fairy tale, and the movie was sort of more...
Like
Not
Hollywood?
as-
Hollywood
Yeah,
style?
maybe.
This is why the movie's great. It literally has gay pirate captain Robert De Niro.
As Shakespeare.
That's the greatest thing.
But, yeah, it's different to the book, but I like them both. Howl's Moving Castle, I love that book. Again, the movie is different to the book, but I like both.
Sound Engraver for $2 US says, Oz, stop making jokes. I can't afford it.
Yeah, it's costly for me each time too.
Take a 610 for $2 US. Shad, settle it. Is Star Wars fantasy or sci-fi? It's neither. It's space opera. Boom. That's what we're up to at the moment. I'll do a quick refresh. Was there some of the things that you want to bring up? But we are coming towards the end of the thing. So quickly,
We've got a few topics.
Got a few
So,
topics.
one is that Disney Plus Basic will launch with about 4 minutes of ads per hour. It'll start with 15 and then 30-second spots. The tier will cost $8 per month.
So get this right, you're watching a movie that goes for an hour and 2 minutes, and you're watching it, and then you get to the hour and you watch 4 minutes of ads just to watch the last 2 minutes of the movie.
I'm just like, why would you bother watching Disney Plus at all?
But to be fair, you pay $20 to go and watch a movie and you get 15 minutes to 20 minutes of ads beforehand. So
I went and watched a movie once and it was I timed it, half an hour of ads.
Yeah, so I'm undecided on the ads thing if it gives people free content, but again, it's Disney.
And it's $8 a month anyways.
Disney Plus, and you still have to pay. That's a bit dodgy. Like, there are streaming services where you don't have to pay a thing that have ads on them, but you don't need to pay or sign up.
I wouldn't mind like a couple ads at the beginning of a movie or something, but per hour?
Interruptions are annoying.
there are different waters you can sail
Or,
to
you
find
know
your
what,
content.
you know what else they could do? They could say $8 a month for, say, the Disney animated catalog. Or they could change catalogs as well. Not just have it be the whole broad thing
And
of
then you
Disney
get
Plus.
Foxtel.
Yeah,
That's
a
what
good
Foxtel
idea.
does.
Yeah.
But you also get ads between the shows.
All right, next news item. Or just
The
quickly-
next one was that Titans and Doom Patrol are expected to be cancelled.
I tried watching
Finally.
Titans. What a woke piece of crap. It was just poorly written. And
Sucks.
like, what a terrible adaptation where I was hoping for Cool Raven and it's just teen angst Raven. And it's like, it was utter crap.
You wanted
Is
Raven.
Titan Netflix though?
What?
Titan Netflix?
I think it became
If it's
Netflix.
Netflix tends to suffer from turning things into teen angst.
I was just, gosh.
Because it's cheap and...
Because I like some of the classic Teen Titans stuff, really fun. I've even got a Teen Titan graphic novel around there.
Teen Titans anime. All the way.
Well, there's Teen Titans and then there's Titans because they got a bit older and then they try and go back and bring it back. The comic book arc that I really like, which is basically Teen Titans, but because again the Titans are the thing, Young Justice. The Young Justice animation is brilliant, by the way. I heard that the first 2 seasons are good, then they tried to bring it back and then I heard it went
Bit
downhill.
Cringe.
First season was
The
good.
romance is cringe.
First season, Young Justice, I really enjoyed. But the Young Justice comic book, right? It has Robin, Superboy, Wonder Girl,
Martian.
Impulse. So Impulse is in it. Impulse is like the kid Flash. He eventually becomes Kid Flash,
The
but
great grandson of the Flash.
well, technically, like
From
comes
the
from future. Yeah.
future.
Impulse
Yeah,
is
great grandson.
fun, quirky character, and it was really quirky, lighthearted, goofy, comedic, but also comic book stuff. Loved the Young
Grandson,
Justice run.
not great-grandson.
But anyway, so I have a background with some of these characters, right? Tim Drake, Robin was my favourite Robin, but then they decided to wokeify him later down the track as well.
Wokeify him.
They made him gay and all that stuff, you know. He has to be the thing for representation. But Tim Drake was really cool in one of the Teen Titans arcs. He's like a ninja. Anyway, so a lot of interest in those characters, and the Young Justice TV show was such crap and a disappointment. Sorry, keep going, Nathan. What was the other one?
Oh,
Doom Patrol. Who cares?
Oh, yeah, Doom Patrol. Who cares? Who cares? Another article.
Well, we're coming towards the end. Let's finish up the super chat, so we might need to start wrapping up.
Okay.
So, Wolfspan for $5 US says, I think Primal as the closest, or I'm assuming closest, we will ever get to a Conan cartoon show. You have my interest, sir. It's made by the same man who did Samurai Jack and the original Star Wars Clone Wars. All right, you're pulling me in. Scarfy the Strange for $10 US. The whole orc thing was what inspired my critical orc theory jokes. Critical orc theory says half-foots are as diverse as the breakfast lambus bread you get in elves shops. Elven
That's a
shops.
deep one.
That is a. I don't. Oh, do you get that one, Oz?
I get that one.
You get that one.
Also, can I just interrupt and say that I got a message from the wife who said, I am here for Shad glorifying OG Teen Titans and Young Justice.
Oh, see, my wife understands. OG ones. Oh, your wife understands.
My wife.
Your wife.
My wife was
sorry.
like watching the
I
stream
thought-
going,
I
yes,
thought- I was
Shad,
like-
yes!
I thought that was Oz like my wife's mentioning. Oh, yeah,
No,
it was
my
yours.
wife.
Hey, hey, is she a fan of OG?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, we've been looking for
Teen
the
Titans.
Blu-rays, the DVDs. We're going to watch the classics.
Great. All right. This makes me want to get out my Oz. You need to move out of
Can't
the
you
way.
get Young
I'm trying
Justice
to find
on
my.
a
No,
streaming
wife, look what
service?
you've done.
Can you find the Teen Titans graphic novel there? It should be there somewhere.
Do Teen Titans.
Oh wait, it might be here. X-Men, Ultimate Avengers, Crosser, New Avengers. Maybe it's...
No, here it is.
Here it is. This was a lot of fun. Check it out, Teen Titans. And Tim Drake is just a Chad in this, and it's the Teen Titans are getting back together. It's one of the reboots and stuff, but it's just good fun and everything. Classic Teen Titans. That's what we wanted, and then they get the Netflix the show is so bad. Okay. So I'll quickly refresh, catch any of the other ones, and then we'll start wrapping up the stream.
That's it.
That's it. We're up to date, I think.
That's it. That's the super chats.
I'll bring in...
Super duper.
Yep. I think we're up to date. So... Oh, there's one.
No, that's the same
that
one.
is the same one. It's our chat is a little behind. It's quickly...
We're in Australia.
We're in Australia. It's catching up. But...
Why are all the words upside down?
All right, thank you for joining us on another weekly watch, guys. I hope to see you on the next one. Well, just seeing people just mentioning a chat. Yep, isn't it HBO Max? I don't know. Declaring Tim Drake... Yeah, someone says, declaring Tim Drake bi killed his comic book sales. Just dived. And
Oh, is
so,
he bi?
Tim Drake is in this, and he's so cool. He's
Doesn't
so
he
good.
get with Starfire? Or is that a different Robin?
No, well, he's always had a thing for Wonder Girl at times as well. Starfire is way older. She's one of the leaders in this.
Oh.
Yeah. Like, have you not seen that before? So Starfire was
No,
one
I
of
haven't read it,
Starfire was in the Teen Titans when Dick Grayson was Robin and stuff, and so this
Her
is
and Dick Grayson.
yes,
Nice.
had more of a thing.
Nightwing.
This is several generations after where they're bringing back Teen Titans, and Starfire is one of the OG Teen Titans that are one of the leaders now.
Ooh, okay.
And they bring back the new young generation, and so Superboy, Tim Drake, Robin, as well as Wonder Girl and Kid Flash and things. It's good stuff. So, people waving goodbye, and we will
Sayonara.
see you guys later. So someone says, "Hey Shad, how do you think having power armor? How do you think? Oh, sorry, having people in power armor would affect the scale of melee weapons?" That's a whole video. There is one of the late but last super chats. We appreciate it. The Field says, "Workifying the Suns was almost as disgusting as Teen Titans Go." Is it the boys he's talking about?
The Superman sons?
Superman Sons. Oh yeah, I know. They've just made it about appeasing, woke ideology instead of making good things.
Just make new characters.
All right, guys, we will start to sign off. Appreciate you joining us. Hope to see you the next time. So, as always, stay on watch. And farewell.